In this episode, you can ask me anything. What's up, everyone? It's your boy Kyle Gray. Welcome back to my channel where I like to explore the intersection between all things magical and spiritual while wearing cool t-shirts. And my life's purpose is to help as many people get spiritually connected as humanly possible, and I do that through a number of different means. In today's video, I opened up to my Instagram message channel to allow you to ask me anything, and I said nothing was off limits. So right now, I'm going to start looking at some of the questions. There's been hundreds of questions submitted in for this video, and I'm just going to speak about everything and anything that comes up. Let's go. How do I ask the name of my guardian angel, and how do I connect with them? Well, I'm glad you're asking this because I did an entire video on why it's not important to know your guardian angel's name. And it's called Who is Your Guardian Angel? And if you've not watched that yet, I highly recommend you jump over and watch that video because it's specifically for anyone who wants to know their guardian angel's name. Angels are divine beings, they're energetic beings, and they don't operate on a human level. Names are helpful for us, but even just saying my angel contains the vibration that you need in order for you to invoke and invite the presence of your guardian angel. So stop being so fixated on your guardian angel's name and don't base the success of your relationship with your guardian angel on the knowing of their name, because the name is not important. It's more about the feeling of your angel's presence that really allows that connection to be built. Your best advice or tips for building a spiritual business. First of all, be amazing at what you offer. If you don't have much practice in what you're hoping to turn into a business, make sure you get as much practice as humanly possible before you make it your profession. I think a lot of us who are interested in spirituality are so excited to just be of service and step into that role, but the moment you put pressure on your love to make you an income is the moment you create friction in your business and your relationship with spirituality. So I recommend getting as much practice as possible before you make it a business. Be amazing at it and don't rely on your spirituality to make you an income from the get-go. Make it a side hustle first. That's what I did. I worked 9 to 5 and would go out and do angel readings at night and made it a side hustle just to kind of build up confidence and also to build up the muscle strength to be able to do this full time. And then once I got to a certain point where I was booked out months and months and months in advance, then I made that transition from doing it as a side hustle into kind of full time. So I recommend be really good at what you're doing, get as much practice as humanly possible, make it a side hustle first, build up your reputation as a side hustle, and then once you feel you've got the confidence and the muscle strength and the bookings, then you move into spiritual business. Brilliant question. If I see the same sign repeatedly, what are the angels saying? So signs, I've got a whole video on signs and I recommend you check it out because there's a 3-step process to what a sign means. When a sign shows up, it's ultimately an opportunity for us to tune in and to receive. If you keep seeing a sign, it means you're not fully acknowledging it. So you're not actually sitting down and saying in meditation and in prayer, dear angels, what is it I need to know? And really taking the opportunity to listen. So a lot of us see signs, we think, oh, I wonder what that sign means, rather than just dropping into practice and saying, I'm receiving a lot of signs right now. Thank you for downloading into me what it means, what I need to know. And that's the real shift where you no longer become a spectator in your own spiritual practice. You actually become a key player. What's the difference between soul and spirit? So, first of all, for me, when I hear the word spirit, it gives me the impression of the ultimate energy, the oneness of life, what the Sikhs will call the Ik Onkar, the one creator, this presence that is in all beings, connecting us all as one. The soul is the individuated experience of spirit. So the soul is your personal kind of fragment of that ultimate oneness energy. So you have a soul that connects you to the energy of spirit. When we're speaking about spirit, in most cases, we're talking about the collective consciousness of all souls. How's that? What do you do with your leftover candle wax from spells? So, in most cases, I usually just put it in the trash. That's the honest truth. I use beeswax though, and we've done a little bit of due diligence for you, and that is compostable. Thank you to Bob, the video man, who checked that out on Google. Is there a particular meditation to help strengthen my connection to angels? I think any meditation practice given enough focus can develop a connection to any spiritual beings. And I think a lot of people treat meditation kind of like the way they treat physiotherapists. They go once and they think it's going to fix everything. But you need to go back and go back and go back. And then eventually, with all the exercises and all the commitment, then you usually start to see the outcome. Meditation is not a one-time hit. You have to do it repeatedly and consistently to really see the benefit. So any meditation, I think, improves any connection to spiritual beings. Are intrusive thoughts fear-based or spiritual attack to the third eye? No. In most cases, intrusive thoughts are just our own anxiety and our own hang-ups just showing up. And I think a lot of people in spirituality have kind of been misguided by a lot of information out there where if you're having a thought that feels intrusive or negative, you're supposed to kind of avoid it. And I think that that's where a lot of us have gotten it wrong, because I think if you keep avoiding something, it'll never fully go away. I think when you have a thought that is negative, overwhelming, you can actually speak directly to it and be like, hey, I can feel you. I realize you're just concerned. And I realize that you don't have to be my truth. I think by acknowledging the intrusive thought and the overwhelm of that intrusive thought will actually help us overcome it. But for the most part, many people who are trying to live their best spiritual life are constantly avoiding their own thoughts. And I think when we avoid our thoughts, then we'll start to encounter some problems. So when my thoughts get loud and obnoxious, I acknowledge them, but I don't let them run the show. And that's really important. And to answer your question, is it a psychic attack? Most likely not. How to overcome my anxiety and sadness? Here's the truth. I think that we can work with spiritual practices to help us feel better. But if you have serious anxiety and it's really causing, an obstruction in your life, I think nothing beats a great therapist. So if you can, get the resources to speak to a counselor or a therapist, that is the best way for you to deal with any intense feelings that you're having inside of you. And I think a lot of us in the spiritual world have strayed away from going to therapy because we're like, no, I'm here to heal myself. No, you can heal yourself while being held by someone else. And I think that's really good. So I like to go to therapy. Can angels help heal the mind from mental illness? I think developing any sort of spiritual connection can help you get into this kind of positive state and flow in your life. But again, it should not be used to replace genuine therapy or the medication you may need. I think a lot of us in the spiritual world feel like we shouldn't take medication because that's a failure. Whereas some of the greatest spiritual teachers I know have taken and are taking medication to help them with their mental wellness. And sometimes you need that to kind of get you out of that dark place in order for you to see the light again. So if you need any extra help from external sources or from your doctor or physician or your psychiatrist or psychologist, that is not a failure. You can do that and the spiritual stuff to get yourself into a place where you feel you're at equilibrium. Tips for navigating addiction. Again, I recommend working with an amazing therapist, but I also really love the 12-step programs. And I highly recommend you check out Kundalini Yoga and meditation. They call it the yoga of addicts because the practice in itself is quite addictive, and it has this buzz that comes from it. And there is a meditation for healing addictions that we do in Kundalini Yoga and meditation. So work with a great therapist, join a 12-step program, surround yourself with positive people, completely detach from the company that is enforcing the bad behavior that you want to change, and try out a practice like Kundalini Yoga and meditation or some sort of transcendental meditation, because that might give you that high from your own supply that you will realize you don't need from any other source. So that's my recommendation for you. Sexual energy and how not to feel shame. I think that's a really difficult one. I think especially if there's any sort of religious trauma or you've learned from childhood experiences that, you know, being that way is bad, or you've been exposed to something that's been abusive or intrusive, I think it's hard to reclaim sexual energy as sacred. But the truth is, sexual energy is sacred. That is how we are all here. They say, you know, that sexual energy is ultimately an echo of what is happening in the universe, because ultimately it's the energy of creation that we're tapping into. And I know, and they say, and I say they, the tantrics are sharing that, you know, the orgasm is like the ultimate tool of manifestation. Sexual energy, if you're feeling shame there, I think the best place to be would be starting with feeling good in yourself. And it doesn't have to be being about sexual. It can be about seeing yourself in the mirror, feeling good about what you're seeing. And if you're not, doing really gentle steps of self-care towards building up respect for yourself and for your body. Like an abhyanga, which is a coconut oil massage, hot coconut oil, massage your whole body, then go in the bath. Amazing. Just something really gentle just to feel good about your body. There's a good chance that if you don't feel good about your sexuality, you're not feeling good about your body. If you can feel good about your body first, then I think you're one step forward to feeling great about your sexuality. Do you believe in reincarnation? And the answer is yes. I believe the soul is recycled. And a lot of people say to me, well, how do you therefore believe in the spirit world and reincarnation? And here's the truth. I believe that we can reincarnate, but an aspect of our intelligence from every lifetime still remains connected to spirit. So even though I might be the reincarnation of your great uncle, there's still a figment of your great uncle's presence and awareness and intelligence that will ultimately always exist in the heart of spirit. Whoa. All right, this has been an Ask Me Anything. I'm logging off. See you in the next one.